Welcome to the BTM Club Show. And as usual, you know I only bring you the best of the best. The best of the best. You have to excuse the hay fever eyes today. It's that season. The clocks have gone forward. So, yeah, I'm a bit itchy and swollen and puffy. But I had to put my glow on. I had to put my glow on for this one here.
Yeah, you
We
definitely got
bring
your glow
you
on too.
PP Arnold. We bow, we bow, we
Oh,
bow.
oh, hello,
How are you?
Mary. I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm good. Just
Well, we
kind
can
of
see that. We can see you're fine and wonderful and all
brushed
glowed
off
up,
my
honey.
feet at the moment. Yeah, just trying to keep up.
Well, I think you're doing a pretty good job. You're all over the place all the time. Let me tell you, I've been trying to nail this lady down, as with all the artists, really. I've been trying to nail this lady down for must be about a year.
Yeah,
And,
almost.
and the irony is, she actually lives on a parallel street to my family, and I still couldn't pin her down.
I know it's ridiculous. It really, really is. But we need to meet on this
We
side
do need to meet. We
of the
need to
phone.
meet. I mean,
Yeah.
I have to say, I love these interviews because I love the stories. And as I say, I think it's so important that we have our stories told to sympathetic ears that are really to celebrate you rather than to be finding little negative bits. It's like really to celebrate you, your journey, your achievements and
Oh,
accomplishments. So
oh,
it
lovely.
really is a joy. And as I always say, I'm not just a little bit of a fan, I'm a big fan. So I'm not going to pretend that I'm not excited when I'm speaking to these people because I only bring the people that I love. So, here we have Miss PP Arnold, one of the originals. So we can see you are fabulous.
And
And
it's an honor to be here with you
it
finally.
really is. It
My
really is.
apologies. You are a very patient man. This is
Yes.
a very patient man, everybody.
Well,
Yeah, I
I was
really
always kind of
appreciate it.
taught that patience was a virtue and that
It
not
really
everything comes
is
as soon as you want it, but it comes when it's supposed to.
when it's
So
right on time.
that's the one. That's the one.
And I'm telling you right now, with Mercury being in retrograde for so long, I'm really glad that it's almost over
Oh,
in
yeah, it's nearly
a
over.
few days because it's
Yeah,
been
yeah. Well,
killing.
you are such a busy bee. I mean, has it always been like this for you, or was there a period when it quietened down?
Oh, there's been lots of quiet periods. Actually, I live in Spain. So I spend, I'm kind of been out of the loop really.
Right.
Uh, Brexit, as a result of Brexit, it's like a bad news, good news kind of thing because it forced me to have to come back to London to be here, but my
Right.
home is in Spain, in Salobreña. And because I'm a British resident and I didn't want to give that up, you know, I'm um,
Yeah.
uh, I'm here. I'm here in
Right.
this flat with no atmosphere.
Yeah, but I think you are the atmosphere, darling. You create the atmosphere. There wouldn't be any room in that apartment for atmosphere and you.
Oh, you are
Okay.
so sweet. Well, as you know, there's no place like home.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
yeah, that's my home. 25 years. I've
So,
lived
what made you
there.
decide to go to Spain?
Well, Spain, in my life, it is just so weird. Spain called me,
Oh, really?
England called me. Everything is called me. It's like my life is all about the unexpected. And
Yeah.
I am hoping that the unexpected is going to like rock off in here in a minute and just open up every closed door.
Yeah.
Because these are challenging times. It's like, It's weird because this is my 60-year anniversary. Would you
Right.
believe?
As I said, we're not going to rush this because this, when you get someone like this, you have to warm the pot slowly and let it come from the beginning and then build to the crescendo, you know? So,
Well, I'll let you lead.
oh, yes, I always lead, honey. I'm a leader. So that's not a problem. Where did it start for you? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in LA, Los Angeles, California,
Okay.
in Watts. They call it
Right.
Central now, but it was Watts when I
Right.
grew up. And yeah, my family are from East Texas, but they migrated to Los Angeles in the mid 40s to like get away from all the Jim Crow racism of the South
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So my siblings and I were all born in LA.
Wow. And
Yeah.
how many siblings are there?
There's six of us.
Right.
Two of my brothers have passed on.
Yeah.
My brother Larry recently, which is, you know,
Really.
uh,
Condolences. Sincere
and my
condolences.
oldest brother Ronnie, he passed on in the late 70s.
Okay.
So I have a sister and two brothers. We're all still here, but we're all spread out.
That's
I'm
how it
here.
happens. That's how it happens.
Yes. But you
Yeah.
know what? It really happens. But that life growing up with my parents and grandparents and everybody who's, moved on, holding our space for us up there, and my brothers and sisters, that life growing up, that is what inspires me and motivates me to keep going,
Well, yeah.
to
I mean, I think
hopefully
when you come up
represent
in a
them.
space, when you come up in a space where you're loved and you're made to feel secure, it does put you in good stead to go and fight the battles of the world.
Well, I'm telling you, that's my first song that I ever sang was Soldiers in the Army. We
Right.
have to fight, although we have to cry sometimes.
Yeah.
Hold up the bloodstained banner. Yeah. So
Bringing it live and direct to you from the Queen herself. So is PP Arnold the one out of the siblings who shone the brightest?
well, I'm the one that paid all the dues.
And the bills.
To be and the bills to be doing what I'm doing because
Yeah.
every single one of everybody in my family sings. You know,
Okay.
I was born into a family with everybody natural, beautiful singing voices. I was born into a
Right.
family of gospel singers, and yeah, um, I grew up singing with my family. I grew up from the in my book. I don't know if you've read.
Oh, yes. Soul survivor.
Yeah,
Soul survivor.
but I tell the whole story in there, of just growing up at the age of 2, being in my Aunt Catherine's living room where we had service every Sunday morning because when my family moved from the South, my grandmother and her sister formed the Full Gospel Baptist Church. And we would have services in Aunt Catherine's living room every
Right.
Sunday morning. Fiery services. And in those days, we didn't have, because we were having service in the living room, we had visiting, traveling ministers that used to travel around. And we had like a different reverend every Sunday or something. And they were like, I remember, the whole call and answer gospel, you know.
Yeah.
I love the Lord, he heard my cry and pitied every moan. And then everybody, the whole family, would, honey, open up and come out with these harmonies that I just get chills
Goosebumps.
about it. Yeah, goosebumps. I love the Lord. He heard my cry. So when you come to see Soul Survivor, which I'm so excited about, I started doing live shows last year, just kind of testing the waters with it. I
Yeah.
didn't really know what I was doing.
Sometimes that's the best way.
I think it's turned out. It like got it all going.
Yeah.
And at the moment, I'm working with Carol Harrison, who, wrote, produced, and directed the Small Faces musical. So Carol has helped me to like really like edit it down for the stage because it was way too long.
I was gonna say, because you just want to put everything in there. You want to put
I cut it down, but it was still so much. And
Yeah.
like every time you cut, it's like you cutting off limbs and things, and you're trying to decide what. But Carol, she just chop, chop, chop.
Well, she
So
doesn't have the same attachment. She has a different eye about what the public need,
that's
because
right,
all of those are your babies. So
and that's
you
what
want them all included. You don't want to leave any of your babies out.
it's so great working with her because she does just that. You're working with somebody who has an objective view of everything. And it helps me to, I like being directed,
Yeah.
because
Sometimes we need to
that's her
be.
medium.
Yeah.
That's her medium. I'm a singer, and I didn't even know I could write. I just sat down one day on one of those times when I didn't have nothing going on
And started writing.
and started writing. And I never did, never even dreamed, thought of it. But good thing I had
But
a
what
good
I
man.
love is the fact that what I notice with you powerhouses, the common thread is church. It's almost as if church is the foundation for the training of vocals.
Well, it is, because it's the community. We're descendants of slaves, and it was the church, and the even though like Christianity was brought in there, but to and that's what they were given, but they used that. That's how kept everybody strong, you
Yeah.
know, kept the faith. I tell everybody, like I'm known as like a mod, like a mod, because I'm part of the mod scene, and their anthem is keep the faith. And like I let everybody know it's not just an anthem
Yeah.
with me.
It's a way of life.
Faith, that's life. It's
Yeah.
faith that has brought me this far and is still keeping me going
Going.
today.
Yeah, but I mean, you're absolutely right. I think it is faith and belief in yourself and what you're doing that
Well,
keeps it going. Because if you don't have that, number one, you can't expect other people to have it. But it is that that keeps you going till you get to the point that you want to go to and not being discouraged. You have to keep the faith and the belief.
well, you really have to. And I'm kind of proud of myself in a way, because my career has been, I didn't ask for any of this. So I didn't know anything about it as far as business and all that stuff is concerned. And in the 60s, everybody got ripped off.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody got ripped off, and I didn't know. I never like had an ambition where, wow, that's what I'm gonna be. That's what I want to be. I didn't have that,
You weren't
it's
chasing
like
it. It's kind
an
of happened.
answer to a prayer.
Yeah.
I asked God to show me a way out of the life that I was trapped in. And
It was your
God
music.
answered prayer, baby. Because 2 hours later, my phone rang. And a couple of hours after that, I was in Tina Turner's living room singing, dancing in the streets.
Now, okay. The lady has jumped right in because we have to say this lady here is one of the original
Well,
Ikettes.
not original.
Not original. Okay.
No, not
So there were
original.
many before you then.
But there was a couple of sets before me,
Okay.
Vanessa Hills and Robbie and Jesse. They were the group before me, and I think that there were another set because Ike Tina been going. Tina's 1957. That's a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
So they've had the Ikettes, but I'm really I was like one of a group of the Ikettes from the 1964, 65. I say,
Right. Okay.
what's his name? Wiki, Wiki, Wiki. What do you say? The place that tells you go to find people. Wikipedia.
Wikipedia. Yeah.
Yeah, Wikipedia, they say 1965, but I, I think it was 1964, the winter. It was
Okay.
like winter
You're coming to the
64
end
to
of
65.
1964.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So, but
So
that was
what
a
brought you to
time,
that place of becoming an Ikette in Tina Turner's living room? How did you get to that spot?
well, I was trapped in a very abusive teen marriage. I
Right.
was 17 years old. I had two children
At
and
17.
worked two jobs
At 17.
at 17. And, I know now that I was groomed back then. You, I didn't know, and I kind of got jumped on, right? But Miss Fertility, got pregnant, and my father was not happy about that. And so I was forced to marry someone
Right.
who I didn't even know.
Right.
You know, when you're a young girl, you fall in love because you're so cute. And why did he choose me? All these other pretty girls, you don't have any confidence in. I didn't because I was really shy. I've always been shy because my father was like strict with me. I was on my way to becoming a legal secretary. That was it.
Really?
Those typing skills came in handy when I wrote the book 50 years later, but
So it was still
that's
useful.
yeah, that's right. And it's still useful because I ain't through yet. I got a little few more. I want to be able to write a little bit more while I still got my eyesight. I got glasses over here now. But yeah, I was tapping on one of them Underwoods, 100 words a minute thing.
Right.
But anyway, I can be so silly. You have to, make sure you direct
Listen,
me.
we want to see who PP Arnold is. So, all of this, don't be telling me that I've got to edit it because it's staying in, honey. It's staying in.
Well, that's okay, but I just don't want you to run out of time because, like I have a tendency of like running out of time.
No, no, no.
No, I have
We
to
did,
edit. I have to edit myself,
yeah.
really. So where were we now? Yeah.
We were
So
at the marriage
one
at
Sunday
17.
morning, one Sunday morning, I was in the laundry room of my apartment building doing my laundry for my working week ahead. And just had this thing. My daddy, I was just reminiscing. My daddy, if you make your bed hard, you gotta lie in it. I was thinking about all that, and I was definitely lying in my hard bed. And it was Sunday, and I was there, and I was thinking about what Sunday mornings used to be like.
Yeah.
You waking up with the family and all my brothers and sisters, everybody getting dressed, ready for church and everything. And back in those days, if you got pregnant, mm, you
Yeah.
was kind of a bit of an outcast. So I had shamed the family, right? So they didn't even make me go to, they didn't care whether I went to church or not. And I didn't really want to go because, all the hypocrites was all over me, talking about me. So, but I was reminiscing about that, Sunday morning. And I used to teach Sunday school and, 11 o'clock service, put on my robe to march in the church, with the family and, and then I just said that prayer. And I just asked God, I said, Lord, I know, you know, nobody twisted my arm. I take this is my fault.
Right.
This is my fault, but please, please find me a way out of this. And that was it. Went in the house, cooking, cleaning, bring telephone. Maxine Smith, girl, Pat, you gotta go. You gotta go with me and Gloria. Her and Gloria Scott. You probably heard of Gloria
Yeah.
Scott. So Gloria, yeah, her and Gloria, because Gloria was already an Ikette. See,
Okay.
I kind of had two sets of Ikettes.
Right.
So one set went on the road with the review, and the other set he would send out with the Dick Clark show. So
Okay.
Gloria's in this B group, and she know the other girls were leaving, so she wanted that gig. So she had like got Maxine on board. Maxine was an ex-girlfriend of my brother's who knew that I could sing. They were desperate.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
they called me out of desperation. Just 'cause yeah, they just needed anybody to go with them so they could get that gig. And the other girl that was supposed to go with them, who was also an ex-girlfriend of my busy brother, she hadn't shown up, So Maxine, I was going like, oh, Maxine, I'd love to go, but David's not gonna let me go. You tell him anything, we come to get you in 30 minutes. Bam, hung up the phone. So I told my husband a lie, got him to babysit, and boom.
So how
They
then did you
came.
break the news to him that you'd got added to the review?
Well, I didn't get added to the review until after I had broke the news to him and he tried to have killed me.
Really?
Because, you know what I mean? Because I went to when we did the audition, Tina goes, right, girls, you got the gig. And I go, oh no, not me. Not me. I gotta go. I told my husband a lie. I got two kids. I should have been home 2 hours ago. And I'm in big trouble. I'm gonna get my kicked, right?
Mm.
And Tina goes, well, if you're gonna get your kicked for nothing, you might as well ride up to Fresno with us and at least see the show. So man, I was under her spell. I never got to go anywhere, do nothing. I hadn't had an opportunity to be a normal teenager or do anything
Yeah.
like Yeah, so I went to Fresno. I had left home about 12 o'clock that afternoon, and I got back about 6 o'clock in the morning, just time enough for me to get home and get my kids up to get dressed, get ready, go to work. Well, he was waiting on me, and it was just like, bam. And it was like he just kind of knocked some sense into me because I remember my prayer. And from that time, from that moment, I knew I was going to be an Ikette because I believed that God had answered my prayer and was showing me a way out
Right.
of that situation. Many more prayers to follow. You know?
To deal with other situations.
Yeah, to deal with the unexpected.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't, it wasn't my ambition, but I love to sing. And I was like, really, I was just like, I was greener than this blouse I got on here. I was green. I don't know nothing about life. I got two kids, married with two kids. I don't know nothing about the world,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's been a journey.
But that's a lot already. By 17, that's quite a
That's
lot.
right. That's right. And then, as a result of being with Tina, by the grace of God, I was with them when she had Riverdale Mountain High, and it had flopped in the States, but it was a big hit here. And she came to England to tour with the Rolling Stones, her and I, the review.
Yeah.
And I was blessed to be an Ikette at that time. And then when I came here, that's when the next opportunity opened up.
Right.
So being on tour, and I was like, wow, well, we got to England, honey, because we come from our segregation. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
were, I had I had been with them for 2 years working the Chitlin circuit,
Right.
you know.
Now, explain the chitlin circuits for those who wouldn't understand what it is. I know what it is, but
Yeah. Well, the Chitlin circuit are like, were like clubs, ballrooms, auditoriums, sometimes barns, that were mostly black owned,
right.
promoted.
That's the thing because it was the black owned, black
That's right.
audiences, and
That's
it's all
right.
part of this segregation
Yeah,
because
that's right. So
the
this
chitlin circuit
like
is specifically black.
it was specifically black, and all the shows, it was like in the South, East Coast, all through the South, East Coast, Northeast, upper Northeast, kind of there. That was where all the clubs were, and in the hearts of all the black communities. All the
Yeah.
clubs were right in the heart of the black communities. And so there were like clubs, barrooms. We did like, like on the East Coast, it was really great because we played the Apollo Theater and Uptown Theater, and and in Detroit, we the all those
Yeah.
clubs and theaters from that time. And this is what the Chitlin circuit was the circuit for most of the black blues, jazz, rhythm and blues, just black artists,
Yeah.
from everybody from Ray Charles, B.B. King, Aretha Franklin, all the soul, all the, you know,
Because still with
Motown, and
segregation,
yep.
you couldn't perform in a lot of places.
Oh no.
And even if you could perform there, you were like told to go through the trade entrance. You couldn't sit there to eat, or you could only go to perform to entertain the audience and then leave.
Well, that's right. And you couldn't even go to the toilet. You
Right.
know, I mean, that was my first, because, like I'm from LA. You know, I hadn't grown up in the South. And most of everybody else, all the musicians, and even Maxine and Gloria, they were born in the South. So they had that experience of growing up in the South and South and the segregation. And my first experience was like, we were on the road, and I had to go, use the toilet. I needed to go to the toilet. And I kept asking the bus driver, Duke, stop, stop. I gotta go, I gotta go. And he goes, and he just kept going. He wouldn't stop. So I'm, Miss, LA, Miss LA. I've just like start acting, I just got really upset and blah blah blah. Anyway, so next gas station, Duke stopped the bus. And so he opened the door, and I jumped down the stairs, and I noticed nobody followed me. Nobody
Yeah.
else, nobody
That
else
was a
had.
place that you weren't supposed to stop.
Right, exactly, exactly. But he stopped because he was teaching me a lesson. So I go like marching into the ladies in the front of the gas station, and when a irate redneck appeared and said, you don't go in there. You're not supposed to go in there. Your toilet is always in the back. So I'm like, ooh, I didn't really like the way he talked to me, but I just went around the back, and I went around the back, and it was awful. It's like old, horrible outhouse, wooden door opened it up just like a hole in the ground. It wasn't even at this particular place that we stopped at. It was deep south.
Right.
It wasn't no proper. They just had a little toilet seat on top of something horrible, flies everywhere, smell. So the penny dropped, and I closed that door and ran back to the bus crying. And then Duke opened up the door and goes like, now you know why I didn't stop the bus. This is redneck country, and they don't care nothing about Negroes down here. So
Yeah.
he just like drove the bus on for a little while, and then he stopped in a place that he thought was safe. And everybody got off the bus, and we found a tree or a bush to do our
Wow.
business. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
because as well, you see, it was all part of that thing called the Green Book, where
Yeah, that's right.
the Green Book, where you weren't supposed to be in certain areas at a certain time
That's
of day,
right.
or, by nightfall, you weren't allowed to be there.
Right.
So, you
Yeah,
had
we
this
got
great,
back
well, I
on
don't
that
need to
bus,
tell
and I
you,
was.
but just for the viewers and the listeners that may not know, the Green Book was the guide as to where Black people could go in
That's
certain
right.
areas in America.
That's so true.
Yeah.
So yeah, that day I was schooled, when we got back on that bus, and all the musicians and everybody, and I was schooled on what it was like to be Black traveling in the South
Yeah.
during the days. We had to be careful.
Very
Yeah,
careful. Yeah,
yeah.
because you might not even finish your journey, and you try to explain to people that the place that they visit now, though they're trying to take it back to that, the place that you visit now is not the place that it was in the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Well,
It's a
that's
completely different place.
and it's really it was awful then, and it's even made it's more modern
Yeah,
and everything now.
not the
It's
same sentiments, attitudes, and mentality.
That's right. And with the new government, I think a whole lot of people, especially blacks, want to get out of there and get to Africa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or just
People are
somewhere
like
that
really,
you can be
yeah,
in peace. In
yeah.
peace. Yeah,
These are very difficult times for everybody.
yeah,
But it's sad that after all of the progress that through civil rights
yeah,
and everybody fought and died for, Martin
That
Luther King,
that in
Malcolm.
2025 you're going into a state of regression.
It's regression.
Yeah, regression.
So, but you just have to
Keep keeping on.
keep it on, and we just have to do better.
Well, I think you've set the bar pretty high.
Oh,
You set the bar pretty high. So when did your time with Tina come to an end?
in the UK when I came, when we were came and touring with the Rolling Stones, and over here, and my first experience of being a teenager.
In London. Great place to
Really?
be a teenager in London.
Yeah, it was, because even with Ike Tina, even though I was like an entertainer or anything, that was like a job for me.
Yeah,
Was a job. That was a way for me to support my two children, because I managed to get away from that marriage, and so it's just another opportunity that I had just never even imagined or thought about. So it was like opportunity knocks. And
bigger than your imagination or anything you had anticipated, shall we say?
well, it was just a job for me. I hadn't had any thoughts on show business would be my life or anything. That was just what got me out of that situation. And I didn't know, because I didn't know, even with Iketina, we worked. It wasn't no party. The
Yeah,
party was day,
yeah,
but we, and then the party is still on stage for me.
absolutely. That's
I
when you
never
come
really.
alive because you know what? An hour or two before that, you can be exhausted. You're like, oh, I'm so
That's
tired. I just
right.
want to sleep. When showtime comes,
Yeah, and as I get older, and I'm still out here with everything going on, it's just I'm I just get more and more disciplined.
yeah,
I have to be disciplined. I have to really conserve my energy a lot more. I
yeah,
need to like always be keeping my chops together. I need to, yeah. And then coming back to London as well, after not living here for so many years, I'm kind of like out of the loop, because
yeah,
London's a big city to me, where I've been used to living in this lovely little pueblo, and, nice private, way of living, but still part of a community.
yeah, yeah,
A community, whereas like now everybody like that I know, most people that I know are, it's all spread out. People don't live in London anymore. It's all spread
yeah,
out. I'm not driving this time around. I've been driving all my life, but I don't drive in London now. So I don't like being on the underground at night, and I don't, what I mean? I just don't, I just sort of like, it's just work. So my
yeah,
work is the party.
yeah, yeah. But coming back to London when you came for the first time as an Ikette,
Yeah.
it must have been a huge culture shock for you
Oh, it was. It was.
because as much as racism did exist in London, there's no doubt about it,
That's
but it
right.
wasn't on the level that it existed in where you came from. So you must have felt such a huge sense of freedom, shall we say, that you didn't have back home.
Yeah, definitely. Because I had never been around white folks. I mean, I say that, and it's really funny, because I had no experience, and then I was like hanging out with, I came here and I was hanging out with the with the wildest white boy in the UK, really, Mick Jagger. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And that was the beginning of that. The first song I wrote was all about being involved in an integrated relationship.
Okay.
Though it hurts me badly. That was my song of like, and even though everybody was like, all the English people, because I was like, kind of like from America and singer, everybody's into the soul, I was a black girl, but even, no, they didn't have experience of like being around
Yeah.
so much, like
Yeah.
a black female. And I wasn't like everybody thinks that all black girls are hip and everything. I was so lame. Everybody thinks I was so hip. I was not so hip. I might have been brave, but was like, I was quite shy and quite introverted I was still, hey man, the wrath of God was upon me. Everybody's out here party doing everything. You
Yeah.
know, I had grown up a different way, and I think that saved me because I was over here, Jimi Hendrix and myself and Madeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were over here and it was a whole new day. We were like, part of like American blacks that had came out of the Civil Rights Revolution, and we were like all a part of the rock and roll revolution and that
Yeah.
was going on over here. So it was like it was a new way of being. And I've always been like, I don't see color.
Mhm.
I was always able to be able to just, be a part of
Mix and
whoever,
blend
wherever.
anywhere, any company you're versatile and eclectic enough to mix in any
I
company.
was open. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
open. And they were my friends, and people that opened doors and everything for me. And sometimes I would be really lonely.
Yeah.
I would be really lonely, but I didn't want to, appear ungrateful or anything for all the opportunities that I was a part of, but I didn't know. So I had to be cool. I had to like keep my eyes and ears open at the same time while opening up and learning about myself as a young woman and my
Yeah.
sexuality and my, all those kind of things that, independent woman, young woman. Yeah.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
you took on quite a lot very early in life. So I don't even think you had the time that other people had to gain experience with stuff because you went straight to being married with two children at 17.
That's
And
no,
then,
at
everything was
50.
tumbling. Then it became Ike and Tina Turner on the road coming to the UK. It was a lot in a short space of time.
Yeah, it was. It really, really was. So like the 60s, and that was like the 60s, and then the 70s was a whole different thing. That was like, I didn't have to pay dues to come into the industry. It was like given to me. But in the
Yeah.
70s, that's when I had to pay dues. I started paying dues because the whole the label that I was with went under and bankrupt, and everybody knew what was going on. I didn't know the scene. I was like a part of a protected kind. I was protected in this family thing. I didn't know about networking or,
Yeah.
or hustling. Doris
Yeah.
Troy. Doris Troy was lovely. Doris said, baby, I'm gonna teach you how to ask for your money. Baby, you gotta know how to ask for your money.
Late
You know
great
what I
Doris
mean?
Troy.
This is show business,
Yeah.
you know.
Don't forget the business. Don't
Don't
put all the
get that
emphasis on
business
the
now.
show. Don't put all the emphasis on the
But
show.
that takes a lot of experience learning how to do that, especially as a woman, because it was a boys' club. It's like a boys' club.
Yeah,
You know?
especially in that era.
Yeah, in that era and this era too.
Yeah.
In this era too, because I find, like I don't like I can't think about things like that because I just have to like, whatever was and what is what it
Is. Yeah.
is.
You have to
So
move forward.
I
You
have
have to
to
move
try
forward.
and stay positive and stay strong and just sort of like, hey man, yeah. I learn so much every day in this industry right now, every day. I'm really learning and I'm getting stronger and stronger. And here I am. I'm like, well, I'm glad I invested in my health because otherwise I wouldn't be able to still be out here moving like I'm moving,
Absolutely.
and
Not
so
only moving, but performing. Not
and
only
I
moving,
love it.
performing.
Oh, how I love to sing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a wonderful. I am just so grateful for my gift, and I know what the responsibility of my gift is. My gift is not about me per se. It's a gift. I've been giving something to share, to inspire, and
It's always
uplift.
about the other people. It's never about
Yeah,
you.
that's
And I always think the more people you touch with whatever you're doing makes what you're doing bigger. If you just make it about you, it doesn't have the magnitude as much as when it's touching people, involving people, including people.
yeah. I need to be a little. I feel that that part of it is easy for me. I need to be a little bit. Maybe I need to be a little bit more social.
Uh,
But it's just time. Like being an independent artist and being an independent Black female artist.
yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like full on. It's like
time and
full on.
energy.
I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning because I woke up and I wanted to go back to sleep, but I had so much stuff on my mind that I knew I needed to do today. So rather than lay there and think about what I was going to be doing later on, I thought, well, hey, I can't go to sleep, so just start doing
Just
it
get up
now.
and do it.
Yeah, there ain't nothing to do but to do it. That's one of my
Exactly.
daddy's favorite things. Ain't nothing to do but to do
To
it.
do it.
And then I got up, and then when I got through and I got so much done, and then I realized I was getting sleepy, and then I knew I couldn't go to sleep because then it was too, if I go to sleep, I'm not gonna do all the stuff that I know I need to do. I didn't get my walk in yet, but I'm gonna get that
Okay.
in after
Well, it's a
we
nice bright evening, so you still got
exactly.
time. You still
I'm
got
gonna do
time.
that. After we finish, I'm gonna get my walk.
So
Yeah.
tell us about the big single. The first cut is the deepest.
Ah, what a blessing. What a blessing to have been given that song that is just like, yeah, man, that's it opened the door and it's still opening door.
Open, yeah.
And it's such a beautiful song. I love it. I've sung that song thousands of times. I never tire of singing First Cut, Angel of the Morning. They're such beautiful songs.
Yeah. Angel
And
of the
and
Morning.
and and I love my catalog. At first, when I was younger, I thought because I'm American, and so like it's a different kind of soul that I came from.
Right. Okay.
So, and I've like, even though I'm a soul singer, I've always been produced. The only Black producer that I've worked with is Dexter Wansell.
Okay.
Yeah, Philly,
The
Indiana.
Crown Prince of Philadelphia.
I'm telling you, man. And we did, my tune, A Little Pain?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Dexter produced that. See, when I
Okay.
came back in the 80s, see that's moving from we go from the 60s to the 80s. When I came back and I was with 10 Records and everything had changed, after the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, it was a whole new thing going on. So I was lucky that Dexter was working with Lucy and Carl McIntosh and so
Yeah.
those guys, that's who I worked with at 10 Records. We did that tune, A Little Pain, and those guys, the whole loose ends kind of sound, that's where that whole sound came from. And I had that song, Smile, my song Smile that Dexter produced. And with Carl, we did that tune, Haunted House. Yeah. Yeah, really, really, really good times. But nobody knew what to do with me then.
Right.
Nobody knew what to do with me then because see, it was like a whole new scene. And this is the thing that happens through every decade because I've been around for so many decades.
Well, listen, you said it at the beginning of the show, 60 years. That is expected that you are going to have a gargantuan repertoire and catalog. It's
Yeah,
expected. In
but
60
coming
years,
in each decade, the music changes.
absolutely.
So and then there's another generation of that's from a different thing, teenagers, everybody's young and fly and out there and doing it and I'm like sort of like mama, then years go by and I'm grandmama. You know what I mean? So I've like come to terms with the fact that I have my own lane.
Yeah.
PP Arnold, I used to think like when that's what I started saying earlier in the 60s. I didn't know my songs, I thought they was kind of lame. And when I went back to the States, it's like people were like kind of laughing at my stuff. You know what I mean? Because when I went back, it was a different pop. It was a different soul. I have like I've been produced by British producers. So as a soul singer, I have a different pop. I've
Mhm.
been thinking lately, I think like my whole pop persona was like back in the 60s was kind of similar to like the pop persona of people like uh uh what's her name uh
I
from
love
the
that.
from Barbados.
Rihanna.
Rihanna. You
Okay.
know, Rihanna reminds me of like that sort of pop kind of. I had that
Yeah.
sort of poppy kind of vibe more
Yeah.
back then and everything. So, and then when I went back home in the 70s and everybody, it was like Chaka Khan was happening, I'm
Yeah.
like a old school soul singer, like
But
Aretha,
yeah, as you said,
everybody's
every
from,
generation or
yeah,
every decade it changes. It has
it
changed.
changes. So I thought everybody, when I went back to LA, I'd visit LA, and it was like, I call it the hot lick syndrome. Everybody, it's the hot lick syndrome. Everybody like riffing, doing the Chaka Khan and everything. And then I thought like, oh, I've lost it. And then I realized when I really came into who I was, I'm more of a melodic singer.
Right.
Melody is really important to me.
Right.
The melody, the story, that's I'm all about the story. And then I learned that, okay, I could do all of that if I want to, but
Well, as
yeah,
you said, you found your lane, you found your niche, and you do what you do as PP Arnold does what she does. It's no point doing what somebody else does. You
exactly,
you do what you do as
exactly.
you do. But I have
But
to
my
interrupt
inspiration
you and
comes from
say,
old school. My inspiration is like old school gospel. Like everything is different. Now, you know, everything, every style, it changes as time goes
yeah,
on.
yeah,
The gospel, the gospel scene, like now today, it is very much here is like the youth gospel, you know, even Aretha, and that was all the youth gospel. That Aretha changed. They changed all of that from the the old school, like I was singing in the beginning. You know, that call and answer
yeah.
gospel, and he's looking ready for that great day. Yeah, you know, so like that's a different kind of thing, you know, but it's just great. I just love it all.
I have to interrupt you and say, I know First Cut was the huge, 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 huge track, but my favorite is Angel of the Morning.
I love Angel too. I love Angel too. First Cut and Angel. That's a see, that's why I started talking about First Cut, but I was thinking to say, you know, First Cut and Angel. Every time I
Angel
hear
of the
those
Morning
songs,
is the
I
one for
just
me.
love them more and more.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to decide because I'm doing an album at the moment for my
Okay.
60th anniversary. So like it's like a 60 thing. So I'm doing a couple of my tunes from the 60s. And I'm
Right.
doing something really special. I can't talk about it yet. But I'll let you know as soon as I can. It's gonna be happening real soon too. But
Okay. We look
I,
forward to that.
I have to stay stupid for for a minute. But Angel of the Money, I'm trying to decide if I was gonna. My producers want me to record it again,
Okay.
but I don't know. I mean, I do it live, and and recently it's on the Live in Liverpool album. It's also on the box set.
Yeah. She's rushing me. She's rushing me. She's rushing me.
You know,
So,
yeah. So, but I love it. I don't know if I'm gonna. I don't know if I should. Maybe I will.
yeah, maybe you should. Maybe you should.
Well, everybody wants
So
me to.
we've got the book Soul Survivor, which tells the story, the ups and downs, the ins and outs, the tragedy of the loss of your daughter,
Hmm.
and you came through that, and here you
Right
are.
here with me. She's with me right there. She's the first
Yeah,
thing I see every morning when I wake up. And I see her little beautiful, sweet smile and
yeah,
her sweet spirit, and it strengthens me.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm always in awe of people who tell or write the autobiography because there has to be a certain candidness, honesty, openness, which you've mentioned. But more than that is generosity because you have to be quite generous with yourself and of yourself and give that story to the people.
Well, you got to tell the truth.
Oh, yeah, you have to tell the truth.
Maya Angelou was my inspiration for writing. You know,
Oh, yeah, well, Maya.
Maya told it all. You know what I mean? She told the story. She told the good, bad, and the ugly.
Yeah,
And that's what I didn't want to write my book, and it's like all I come out smelling of roses, and you know,
well, you
because
do smell of roses, but it's just that a lot of
well,
things came before that.
I paid my dues, and I
Yeah,
made a lot of mistakes, and I made wrong choices. The 70s for me are the lost years.
right,
They're the lost years, and I got so lost, and being lost, and you know, sometimes when you're not in the right place where you're supposed to be, not nice things happen. And so I lost Debbie in that period, being somewhere where I shouldn't have been. But I
right.
must have, I don't know, that's where I was. and it wasn't in a good, sometimes as like in this industry, and when you're a woman, we women, we have children, and then doing yeah, you make some. I'm like I've raised my children basically on my own,
Right.
so like, but I've always had my children with me, but sometimes when you make wrong choices in your life, it affects your
It
children.
affects other people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
affects them.
always say, it's we all think that we are acting alone and unilaterally, but our lives and the things that happen in our lives can have a knock-on effect on people around us, not only family, friends, or sometimes people you don't even know. It's like, and you work with somebody, or it can have a knock-on effect on
Oh,
people around you.
absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes positive, but sometimes,
Yeah,
if you're in the wrong place, sometimes it's just, anyway, you have to, that was hard.
yeah. And you kind of feel that the responsibility was yours because you were in the wrong place. So,
Well, I was in the wrong place, and so I was in the wrong place, so she was in the wrong place,
yeah,
so she made the decision. So, it was like I made a decision when I was a young girl that
yeah,
affected my life, and when you're young, when you're a teenager, when you're going through that period, especially, I always say when I have friends and they have children and who are like teenagers and they're like going through it and everything, and I just want to tell them, just hold on tight.
yeah.
Hold on tight. Help them get through that. They'll get through that. If I
And
if
there's much to be said for the saying, it takes a village, because the more people you
oh,
have around
definitely.
you supporting you
Oh,
makes all of the
definitely.
difference.
Well, that was one of the things that was missing
The
around
support
me.
network.
Because even though I was home, I went home in LA, it was a different time because, as we talked earlier, we talk about me coming to the UK, and suddenly you're living in an integrated society. Well, when I went back to LA and I was there, trying to be a part of the British invasion, you know, I forgot about the racism that exists over there. I thought that's what I was thinking. I'd be part of the British invasion in the 70s,
Yeah,
but I didn't have the support system around me that I really needed to
right.
make it happen. And then so like in my family, suddenly they weren't really they didn't understand why I was living in Malibu or why I was living in North Hollywood.
Right.
Why didn't I come and live in Watts, Compton? What why was I living around? So it was different because me living in an integrated environment, and they were right. They were right to a degree. Debbie, that's a whole nother story. We don't want to like get, because
Yeah.
I say you got to reel me in, because
Yeah. No, but you know what? There's some nuggets that you actually have to say, don't tell it all now.
yeah,
Get the book
exactly.
Soul Survivor and read it.
Yeah, yeah,
Get
yeah,
the book Soul
exactly.
Survivor and read it.
There we
The
go.
nuggets that are in there,
There it
you
is.
know. And as I said, very candid, very open, very honest, and generous telling of the life story.
And
So get Soul Survivor and read it. But now
that
we
only
move
goes
on.
up to 1984.
84. Okay.
Yeah, this ends with me coming out of the darkness and finding the light at the end of the tunnel with
Wow.
Starlight Express. This ends on Starlight Express. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Starlight Express.
Yeah.
That's a memory. Yeah.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
great memory.
Yeah, it was a really good memory, because that was Belle. I was the original Belle
That's
and
right.
in
Yes.
Starlight Express. So I came back out of all the lost years of the 70s. I came back in the 80s on roller skates.
In Victoria.
That's right. That's
In
right.
Victoria.
Theater. That was wonderful. And I love doing things that
Was
that
it
are that have never
Rachel?
been done before. Rachel, that's
Yeah.
right. Ray was Rusty.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was Rusty, and I was Belle. See, Belle, it was Belle. Belle had been like she was like from the elegant days of the Orient Express, and she had been
Yeah.
like put into the you know, she was in the cold. She wasn't thinking about Bell, but Bell came out to help Rusty win the race.
Yeah.
Rusty didn't have no confidence, so it was Bell who like
I want
bring
you all to pay
Rusty.
close attention to the eyes. See how those eyes have lit up brightly talking about Starlight Express,
Yeah,
which
it was fun.
we've all seen. I've seen it so many times. I,
Wow.
oh,
So
yeah,
when
yeah.
did you first see Starlight?
In the 80s. In the
Did
80s.
you see the original?
Yeah. I know I
Did,
don't look old enough,
but
but
did you see me as Belle?
of course I saw you as Belle.
Okay, because like I was only there for 1 year,
Of
the
course I saw it. Listen,
oh
theater has always been, theater and cinema has always been a part of my life from a child. So whatever's coming
I
up,
miss it. I need to
you
go
know,
start going to the theater more. Yeah,
yeah.
I miss it. Yeah.
Theater. Well, anytime you want to go to the theater, let me know. We're going together. You only live around the corner, okay?
Well, that's true. Good. Yeah, that would be great. I keep saying to Sherry, we should go and do this and do that, and then she calls me, and then I'm always doing something else.
Something else, exactly. It's you. You're the one that's the difficult one to get and nail down. Believe me, I've had experience of it myself.
So yeah, I know Sherry loves to go
Oh,
to
yeah, she
the
does. So
yeah.
let's talk about the box set. This is it. She was rushing me earlier.
Hey,
So here we
okay.
are, the box set.
Well, this is great. This is I love it. I love this packaging. It comes in 57 tracks on this 3 CD package. And you see it's packaged, it looks like it's in a 78.
Yeah, it looks
No,
like a 12,
45.
12-inch
Yeah,
single. Yeah, like
a
an album.
45 single. But it's whoops. Come on, girl. Okay, this lovely, lovely cover that Garrett
When I
made.
actually
This
saw it
wonderful.
there, when I saw it there, I thought it was an album. It
Well, it
looks,
is an
it
album.
looks,
It
it
comes
looks
on
like
both.
a vinyl album. I mean, it looks like
Oh, well, it is.
oh, oh, there's
It
vinyl
comes with
too.
vinyl as well. But
Oh,
this is the 3 CD set.
okay.
See,
Oh, that's cute.
it is really cute.
That's very cute.
That's all of the covers of the what do you call it? The labels from all
Yeah.
my 45s in the past. And it comes with this fabulous, the sleeve notes are Jude Rogers has just done a wonderful job with these sleeve notes. And all of the graphics, all the layout is just beautiful. They've done such a wonderful job. Demon Records.
It is very cute.
Oh, it
And
is so
the
cute.
sleeve notes actually take you back to the 70s and 60s when you
They
used to
take
get them
me
in the
back to
albums.
beginning.
Yeah,
Yes, it did. And it has quotes from all of the producers and people that I've worked with. Lovely, so just humbling quotes. Yeah.
beautiful. Really beautiful. Well, my request is going to be a signed copy from PP Arnold.
Well, you got that coming. You got that coming.
That's so cute. I
Yeah.
love the 3 CD set. It's beautifully
Yeah, and
packaged.
then this is like a double, it comes in a double album. The album, the 3 CD has more music on it,
Right.
but it's a double vinyl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But still lovely, the artwork and everything is just
Yeah. And it's just lovely to have the footnotes, the musicians, the vocalists, the
yeah,
where it was recorded, all of that. You
that's
know.
right. Because back in the day, they didn't do that. We didn't get. I'm singing on a whole lot of stuff that people are saying is not me.
Yeah. Well,
Let me do this right.
she's putting her baby back in the
Put it
cover.
back in the cover. I got me a
There we
little
go.
uh
Baby
little
is back
record
in.
player recently, so I can listen to my vinyl. I got a lot of vinyl out at the moment. I've got the
Okay.
live in Liverpool album
Right.
and the new adventures. That's a live in Liverpool. All of these albums are double albums, double vinyl. So that's another thing that's really good about being retro. You got vinyl.
Yeah.
you
You're taking
know,
it back in the day when buying music was a pleasure, of course.
yep,
Downloading something is not the same as going and
not the
feeling it in
same,
your
is it?
hands.
It's really not the same. It's convenient sometimes, but it's
It's
not
convenient, but it's not as passionate and sensual, shall
no.
we say, you know.
Yeah.
Well, my lovely, it has been a delight talking to you.
Oh, thank you. Have we run out of that? We run out of time again,
We've
huh?
run out of time this time, but we can always do a part 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
We can
Well,
always do a part 2.
you know how to track me down now.
I know how you can't get
I
away.
love you. You are persistent.
Oh, absolutely. The only way you get what you want.
That's true. That's true, sir.
Listen, you take care.
Oh,
Continue to shine brightly.
I must let you know that I am recording a 60th anniversary album that's gonna be out in the fall, and I'll be touring in the fall. I'm
Okay.
doing Glastonbury, everybody. Yeah, on
Okay.
the 29th, the last Sunday in the on the acoustic stage. So I
Oh,
graduated from the Avalon stage that I did in 2022 to
right.
the acoustic stage, which I'm really excited about that. And I'm doing the Edinburgh Festival
Right.
and the Jazz Festival this year as
My
well.
girl's out there. My girl is out there.
Yeah, girlfriend is grandma's out here. And I'm at the Jazz Cafe on the 16th. Is it the 16th of May?
Of me. Well, I will be there. So
Well,
I'll be there.
you're on the list.
I will be there, honey.
You'll be on the list. And Miss Sherry, I try to get her on the list. She goes and buys tickets every time. She told me today I just like to change my tickets. I said, what if I told you about buying tickets to come on the show?
Listen, Sherry is not one to be told. Sherry does
I
what she
know.
wants. She does what she
Well,
wants. So we just leave
yes,
Sherry to do what
sure
she wants.
does. She's lovely. She's so
She's
sweet.
wonderful. And she really does support all of us. Live music, the
Everybody. Girlfriend
DJs.
is
She
out
supports all
every
of us.
night supporting everybody.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're eternally grateful for people like Sherry
Yeah,
Class.
that's
Believe
right.
me.
Absolutely.
Anyway, my lovely, keep shining, keep that smile on and those
Thank you.
sparkly eyes.
Thank you so much for your patience. It's been an absolute pleasure hanging out with you here. Maybe
Yes,
next time we meet, we'll hang out in the flesh
we will
somewhere.
do. You
Yeah.
know I'm persistent and patient, so you know I will make it happen. Okay.
And Jazz Cafe.
We will be there.
Okay, let me make sure, let me look at this date so we can get this date right. Okay. Well, okay, 20th of May.
That's the day after my birthday. I'm the 19th
Is
of
it? Are
May.
you
Yeah,
you're a Taurean?
absolutely, 100%.
Okay. All right, Venus. Venus. I'm a Libran.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay, so then you gonna come and
I
celebrate your
will be there
after
for sure.
birthday.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right,
You
Barry.
take care, keep
Yeah,
shining
you
your
too.
light.
Thank
And
you.
now, one last thing. Where
Okay.
can we get the book Soul Survivor? You tell us.
You can get it on Amazon.
Okay.
Amazon definitely. It was in all the bookshops. I'm sure that
You're right. You can
you
get it
know,
everywhere. That's great.
well, yeah, probably it's been out for a while now, like 2 years. You
Yeah.
can also get it. I'll have it at the Jazz Cafe and everywhere I'm performing. I'm
Buy it,
selling all
guys,
of
and come
the
and get your copy signed by the Queen herself.
That's right. I do that. I love after each show, I always like chat and say hello and sign and take a few pictures and things with people.
Well, you
Yeah,
know what? I have to say, I actually respect that far more because you stay connected to your public and the
I
people
think
who
so.
love you and the people who have put you there. You don't get too aloof that you can't take time with your public. So
Oh,
it's to be
no, no,
commended.
no. I am truly grateful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we will speak soon. I look forward to seeing you at the Jazz Cap and thank you for coming to the BTM Club.
Well, thank you for having me at the BTM Club.
You're
Mwah.
welcome. Take
God
care.
bless.
Bye
Take
bye.
the best. Okay. Bye-bye.